Pratik Agrawal joins us of ASK Investment Managers. Pratik, good morning. Thank you for joining us. What is your current market view? Do you think markets have run slightly ahead of themselves?
Hello. Hello.
Is my voice reaching you?
You are speaking to me? Hello.
Pratik, is my voice reaching you?
Yes, it is reaching.
What is your market view? You think somewhere markets have run ahead of themselves?
Yeah. So our view is that valuations on PE, which is the most followed valuation parameter, generally followed on a 1 year forward basis, is fairly priced, assuming zero growth in earnings in 21 over 20. Sub 500 kind of EPS on Nifty. However, on other valuation parameters, particularly asset-based valuations, so market cap to GDP and price to book, we are decidedly cheap. So our sense is that uncertainties remain high. The outlook on earnings remain uncertain. And hence, the idea is to focus on the best of companies in the land and be with them for the foreseeable future. Invest gradually so that in case uncertainties arise, market gives a chance on first quarter kind of earnings, which are going to be like nothing we have seen before. We can make use of the cash on the sidelines.
Why do you... So let's talk about consumers here. When you see a large deal in a stock like HUL and where sophisticated institutional investors, they lap up whatever is available in the market, is that a clear endorsement that consumer staples may be expensive, but that's where everybody wants to migrate and they will continue to outperform?
See, that's the space where certainty on earnings is higher than other spaces. There are very few such spaces. Consumers being one, insurance being another, pharmaceuticals being the third, telecoms maybe the fourth. So very few spaces where one can say with some amount of certainty that earnings will at least be down, but down 5-10% and not much more. So for people who are focused on predictability, sustainability, better quality businesses will want to position here rather than elsewhere. Hello.
Pratik, what's the view on Reliance? I mean, it's okay if you don't want to talk stock specific, but just the way that they are concentratedly going about debt reduction for the Jio business, it almost seems like it's immaterial now whether the Aramco deal actually goes through or not, because they've, almost covered 80% of the debt that was to be reduced with the Aramco deal.
Yeah. So it is a business with the three large parts, refining, petchem, retail, and telecom. So telecom vertical does seem to have a large value, sustainable, maybe increasing at this point in time given the deals that are happening, increasing for equity shareholders given that debt is going down. Retail has promised should do well over medium to long term, but in the immediate term, given that we are in a lockdown kind of a situation in large parts of the country which are economically relevant, let's see how the business fares. Refining and petchem is where we could see stagnation in value, if not decline in value, given the margins where they are today, and the fact that as we go forward, uh, there is a move away from fossil fuels. So the amount of value that resides there may not increase; it could actually decrease, and that is something that is grappling us. So overall, the growth in value will occur for Reliance. We are very hopeful on that, but there will be one leg which pulls it down and one leg which is trying to pull it up. On telecoms, we do believe they are very nicely positioned at the moment.
Sure. What is then the view coming in on paints as a segment right now, Prateek? Because, a lot of people in the market are also debating whether the RM cost reduction would be beneficial, and if so, how much? Because at a time when they managed to show good volume bump up amidst the slowdown, COVID is not really going to really help them, secure those volume growth as well. And the sector would be hard hit. Do you also believe that, the valuation and the kind of earnings that they will deliver are not really, talking to each other, and thereby there will be that impending correction in paints as a sector as well, which is going to play out eventually?
Yeah. So this is something that we are aware of. The thought goes like this, that this time is not the peak time for getting the house painted. It starts after the rainy season into the fourth quarter. You are right, at this point in time, not too many people will want a person in the house for painting. But then it can change very quickly. We need to keep a watch on that. If you look at the charts, if you look at the numbers district-wise, city-wise, then a large part of the country are actually COVID-free. It is a few large metros where the concentration of cases is very, very high. A sense is that if the current trends are there, except for Tamil Nadu, whole of South may be COVID-free. Goa, Kerala already COVID-free. Orissa, great chance of being free. Northeast all full free. UP, except for Noida, seems to be under control, and maybe Lucknow. So, where the populations reside, lot of that is free, and there it should be business as usual. Yes, metros where there is a concentration, where fear factor is more, may take more time to come back, and that needs to be watched. But the benefit on account of raw mat is huge. If even if we take some amount of volume cuts, because of gross margin expansions, as yet we do believe this is a space which can deliver earnings growth in 21 over 20. However, the scene will change if lockdowns continue for longer and fear factor continues for longer. My sense is if people get more normal by rains, I think the space will sustain and do very well. If not, the view will change.
All right. Prateek, in terms of, the recovery period, let's say, for markets, we had a pretty decent April. We're looking at, on Wall Street, recovering losses for the year so far. Do you see a consistent sort of up move given the kind of liquidity we currently have, or do you still see chances of further uncertainty given that we still don't have a package and we still don't know exactly when the lockdown will lift?
Yeah, so, we could have a very sharp recovery. That is in the realm of possibility. So while there are businesses which will be impaired for longer, travel, tourism related, airlines, hotels, malls, etc., will have an issue for longer. Hopefully, will get addressed over next 6 months to a year kind of a period, not immediately. So it won't be a V, but a sharp U is completely possible because demand is there, assets are there. What needs to be provided is finance, and the amount of finance that may be actually required is not too great. My sense is for a capex intensive business, 1 month to 2 months of working capital accumulation should be sub 10% increase in gross debt. And for a working capital intensive business, maybe 15-16% kind of an increase in gross debt. With that kind of scenario, even a 20% increase in gross debt per entity, unless that entity is any which way in dire straits, should be manageable. Now, sense is that it requires some amount of confidence building. We do hope that we see that in the form of a package sooner than later. If that happens, then I think a lot of the fears will be taken care of. We do understand that financials would need some amount of helping hand. Given the fact that recently we had a large increase in auto fuel prices, the ability of the government to hand out a package has increased significantly. So we stay very hopeful.
All right, so in light of that, what are the other areas of opportunity? Are you looking at consumption, pharma, maybe even IT?
So, let's do it in a tick box approach. We need to focus on the highest quality space, which is still able to grow at least before the COVID hit. The cash on book is the first tick. We are looking at cash on book businesses. They will be able to, gain presence in the marketplace after the normalcy returns. This is important. I mean, if you look at two large examples in this space, look at what happened to Bharti when the third company had issues in the marketplace. The survivor and the stronger entity gets rewarded in the marketplace. Look at what happened to or is happening to in the airline industry, where Indigo is behaving very differently from the others. So, if your position in the marketplace improves or is seen to be improving, the stock prices would be rewarded for that versus immediate term earnings. So, I think cash on book will be a great strength with companies. Second, tick box is branded versus commodity. We do believe commodity prices will stay soft for longer. In commodities, you can cut volumes up to a particular point. After that, volume cutting to balance supply becomes very, very difficult. Many countries are participants in the commodity businesses. They can't cut volumes beyond a point for their own fiscal. So it starts to get difficult. We have seen oil crack out, oil cracks, gas cracks. Coal will not have an upside, while the usage may be different. The petchem chain and the vegetable chemical chains match, do meet in the marketplace through the ethanol chain. So we do believe chances of wide spectrum commodities remaining soft for longer is high, which means that users of commodity with pricing power will have a very large gross margin advantage. So yes, there may be some down trading, but this space may be better, the branded space may be better versus the unbranded space. Third tick box is domestic versus exports. We do believe, India has done vastly better than the West. Very hopeful that our final numbers will be much better. The world is looking to diversify away from China. We could gain from that as well.
So Pratik, the most important question which we are grappling with is that there has been almost a debacle in the debt market with Franklin schemes. Lump sum flows are not coming into mutual funds, that's what they are sharing. And SIPs are contracting now, and everybody I speak to around me, they are of the view, look, we understand risk allocation, but right now we want to err on the side of caution. What has been the experience at ASK? You run one of the biggest PMSs in India. Fresh flows, outflows, what's happening there?
So as of now, we are the largest PMS in the country. On the PMS side, the big issue is that we need to get a physical POA signed from our investors. We have obtained deferments from our service providers, and we can do it on scan now. However, just imagine this, we send a form to investor who will have to take a printout of that, fill it, scan it, and send it back to us. And we are talking who is who of the country as our investors. So, it is an onerous process. Fresh inflows hence are low in terms of new client adds. However, our existing clients are topping up. I can share with you numbers. Last month, in the month of April, we got 186 crores of top-up monies, which was lower than our usual. Our usual is 500 to 600 crores of gross flows, net flows of 250 to 350 crores. But in the month of April, our net flow was 46 crores. So clearly there is a downtick, but in terms of what we are hearing from our investors, a lot of them want to take benefit of the downtick in the market, and we are having to counsel them to say that stagger it over a period of time. The uncertainties are still very high. So that is the experience. I do believe even on the mutual fund side, whatever you are saying is correct. But then onboarding new clients there for a fund is also difficult. It is not impossible. You can do it through the net, but very difficult. And numbers would improve as markets open up.
So closing comments, Pratik, what has been a large entry into your portfolio and exit of your portfolio post the crisis? Like pre-March, what was that one position or one theme you said, look, I'm happy to stay invested in it, but post-COVID it makes little sense to stay invested in it? And similarly, what is one position which you thought, look, it was a problem position, whether it's valuation or business, but post-COVID, I think it makes fantastic sense to buy that business?
Yeah, so I shared with you 3 tick boxes, cash on books, focus on branded business versus commodities, domestic focus, except for maybe chemicals and pharmaceuticals. If you look at our portfolios before the COVID, they were positioned in the same manner. I mean, our conversations for last several months have been that way. So yes, we have rebalanced our portfolios. Our chemical and pharmaceutical exposures did very well in this period. Financials did not do as well. In financials, again, we were focused more on more versus the index on the fee-based financials, be it life and general insurance and mutual fund, which have done considerably better than the corporate banks and today even retail financials. So rebalancing, yes, but new name in this period, no. Neither have we gotten out of anything substantial nor gotten in hence into anything substantial. Yes, we have increased weightage to pharmaceuticals a tad, some bit of market action, some bit of new exposure into diagnostic change.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Prateek, thanks so much for taking the time out and speaking with us today. Stay safe and we'll hopefully see you soon. DRL, that's the big buzzer today, and